Hey boys and girls, it's Mr. Giomini. You did that construction project yesterday, and I did want to take an opportunity to kind of show you what the construction would look like once completed. If I go back to the directions, save papers you have, it says on a paper, center a square, so I know the shape, that has an area of 25 inches squared. Sides are parallel to the sides of your paper. Okay, so first thing I'm thinking, I know that inches squared has to do with area. So I'm asking myself, what times what gives me 25? And because it's a square, I know that all sides are congruent. So, it's got to be 5 and 5. So, first thing I'm going to do, it needs to be centered on the paper. So I take my piece of paper, I'm going to measure it. I see the paper is 8.5 wide. If I don't know what half of 8.5 is, because I want to center it, so I got to figure out the midpoint, I'm going to take 8 5/10 divided by 2 to get 4 1/4. So 4 1/4 would fall right here on my ruler. I'm going to make this line a little bit long, because I'm going to find something here that intersects it. So let me go here. This is roughly my center point going widthwise. Now, to figure out my center point going lengthwise, my paper is 11 inches long. Half of 11 is 5.5, which would be right there. Okay, I'm going to extend this line a little bit and find the point where they intersect, which is actually right here. So there's the center point of my paper. I am now going to erase, hopefully, this little line here, and my little marking here. So here I'm going to put that down. There's my center point. Now, I go back. The center point, the square center point needs to be the paper center point. Okay. Now, I also need to now draw the square that's 25 square inches. If this is the center of my square, I need to figure out, we just determined that all sides were 5 inches long. So, if I take this, half of 5 is 2.5. So essentially the length and the width of my square will be 5 inches. So I'm going on my center point 2.5. I'm going to mark here and here. So that'll be one side of the square. This will be the other side of the square. I'm going to rotate my ruler. Put this at 2.5 again. Try to straighten this out. Okay, this will be one edge. This will be one edge. Now, all I'm going to do is draw straight lines. And again, if this is a true square and it's 25 square inches, each side should measure 5 inches long. I went from 3 to 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. I'll go here. See if the same principle works. Oh, nope, because I'll remember I got a different width. So I'm going to put it at 2 here. I'll make it 5 inches long. 2 plus 5 gives me, what is 2 plus 5? 7. So this will go to 7. Okay, I'll rotate the paper around. This is 7. I want to make it 5 inches long. 7 minus 5 is 2, so I'll take this all the way up to 2 inches. And I'll rotate this around, and I have my top of my square. Okay, so this should be 25 square inches. I'm just going to write this on the top here. Square equals 25 square inches. Okay, continue going direction. Draw the shortest line of symmetry in the square. Okay, draw shortest line of symmetry, square. Okay, now there's several lines of symmetry. A square can be symmetrical both top to bottom, left to right, and also on the diagonal. Well, because of top to bottom, left to right, because the sides are all 5, that should be 5. My diagonal is a little over 7 inches, so that can't be it. So my shortest line will cut from top to bottom, at least on my square. You could have gone left to right. So I'm going to go top to bottom. Okay. Determine and mark the center point of the square and name it A prime. Or name it A. I guess that's in parentheses. So I will name this A. There's my center point A. Here's a step that puzzled many of us. Within the square, so it has to be inside the square, draw isosceles triangle whose base is formed by one whole side of the square. I'm going to continue on here. The height of the triangle should lie on the square's line of symmetry. Height, 2.5 inches. Okay, there's a lot of things here. So first, let's see here. I have to have a isosceles triangle. Isosceles. Isosceles. Isosceles has two E's. I think of these as a pair of glasses over on someone's nose. I have two eyes, so isosceles means I have two congruent sides. Now, the length of its base must be the base of one of the sides of the square. So, doing this, and I'm going to put this here. I know a square, right angles equal 90 degrees in a square. I should be able to bisect that. There's one side of the isosceles triangle. Again, the base must be the length of one of the sides of the square. So here comes my other side of my triangle. There is my isosceles triangle. Now, determine the area. Determine the area of one of the trapezoids in the square. Inside the trapezoid, write the measure of its area. In the other trapezoid, near each vertex, write the measure of each interior angle. Now, many of you said, Mr. Jameen, I don't know how to find area of a trapezoid, or I don't see a trapezoid. Well, I'm going to use my highlighter here. Here's the trapezoid right here. Remember, a trapezoid, its characteristics are one set of parallel sides, which are here, and it must have four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's one trapezoid. The other one rests right here. And I'm assuming that these are both congruent. Okay, so because this is a square, this angle was 90 degrees. This is a square, this angle is 90 degrees. I don't know what this angle measures. Oh wait, yes I do. We bisected that angle, or cut it in half, 2 equal parts, before when we made our isosceles triangle. Half of 90, because there's my square, there's to denote that it's a 90-degree angle, is 45 degrees. This is a quadrilateral, 4 sides, or a quadrangle, 4 angles. I know that a 4-sided shape's angles altogether total 360 degrees. I have 3 of them, so I'm going to take 90 plus 90 plus 45. 90 and 90 is 180, plus 45 gives me 225. I now subtract that from my 360. 10, 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. That means this angle measures 135 degrees. Okay, I still have not found the angle, or the area of this trapezoid. Well, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to find the area of this triangle. We said it had to have a height of 2.5 inches. Let me just double check. Okay, height 2.5 inches, good. So from here to here, we have 2.5 inches. We know the base is 5 inches. Area of a triangle. I always think of a triangle as just being like a square. So it's base times height, but a triangle only makes half of a square up. So I divide that by 2. So the base equals 5. The height equals 2.5. I'm going to multiply before I divide. 5 times 2.5. 5 times 2 5/10 is equal to 12.5. I take my 12.5 and now I divide that by 2. 12.5 divided by 2 equals, let me guess, 6 2/25. See, look how smart I am. 6 2/25. So the area of this whole triangle is 6 2/25 square inches. Now I'm going to go back up to here. I don't want this area now. I want to find out what the areas of these are. So I'm going to remove the area of this from the whole square. The whole square is 25 inches, or square inches. So I'm going to take 25 minus 6 2/25. Make sure you line up those decimal points. 1, 14, 9 and 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. Decimal point. 14 minus 6 is 8. 1 minus nothing is 1. Okay, the area left that I have left between these two congruent trapezoids is 18 and 7,500 square inches. I want to find the area of one of them. If they're both the same, I'm going to share this area equally amongst both of them, so I'm just going to divide this by 2. 18 7,500 divided by 2. Put your decimal up in your quotient. My little multiplication sign here. 2 times nothing will give me 0. Alright, 1, I'm sorry. 2 times what will give me close to 18? 2 times 9. 9 times 2 is 18. I subtract. That's a 0. I don't need to worry about bringing my decimal point because I already put up my quotient. I bring down the 7. 2 times what gives you 7? 2 times 3. That gives me 6. I subtract. That's 1. I bring down the next digit, which is a 5. 2 times what gives me 15? 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14. Now, I want to just carry this out because I can see my my calculations here that this will eventually work out evenly. 2 times what gives you 10? 2 times 5. So the area of this trapezoid, or actually both of them, is 9 and 375 square inches. Take care.